Hello everyone, good morning. We are here on live from AECC Global, Nepal. Uh, Today we are talking about the recent policy changes in Canada with our Director of Partnership, Victoria. Before starting our session with Victoria, I'd like to say a bit about AECC. I'm pretty sure you have already heard the name AECC. It is one of the most renowned consultancy in Nepal. We are located in more than 16 countries with 50 offices. And here in Nepal, we have 3 offices, and soon to be we are opening few more offices. So be in touch. Uh, so let's start. I'd like to welcome our Director of Partnership, Miss Victoria. A very good morning to you.
Hi, good morning. Good
How
evening,
you?
actually. Late at night here, but good morning to you.
Yes, yes. How you?
I'm doing good. Thank you. I'm doing good. Busy. Lots of changes in Canada
Yes,
makes for busy days.
yes. So today we are again talking about the policy changes, about the college affordabilities, and where should we apply, about the work permits, living expenses, and all.
And so today we're also going to talk a little bit about careers that are in demand in Canada,
Yes.
some shortages in the labor market, and also, the types of programs that can help support students find work while they're studying. So a little bit trying to focus on the long term pathway in Canada and building up a career through a good quality choice in school and program.
Yeah.
Um, would you like me to start with just some updates in terms of policy?
Yes, yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Um, so thank you again for having me. Thank you, everybody who's joining. I apologize if I look sleepy.
No.
It's been busy, as we talked about, and I'm even losing my voice. Earlier today, we presented a webinar session for many of our institution partners in Canada. Right now, currently in Canada, we work with about 125 different institutions. Most of those are colleges and universities. We also work with some high schools, some language schools. But today, with the help of our Chief Commercial Officer, Jake Foster, both of us presented a session where we reviewed some changes in attitude towards Canada, and also provided some great takeaways for our institution partners on things that they need to be considering right now. So, the sessions that we're doing with the team in Nepal, and across other AECC offices have been excellent because we've been able to gather questions, we've been able to gather concerns, sentiments from students on what you're thinking and feeling, and the questions that you have and you're seeking answers for. And we're able to express those and tell the colleges and universities. And so they're able to improve their communications. They're able to make the right decisions internally to better position themselves. And so excited to be here again today, and encourage you to please provide any questions or comments that you have, because it's more than just important right now. It really helps kind of frame future conversations with our college and university partners in Canada. So, without further ado, I think that we are all very well aware of the policy changes that came out on January 22nd. And Slowly, we're receiving further clarification about those policies. Certainly, there's still a temporary 2-year cap on the number of study permits that will be issued for Canada. How those caps are rolled out between province and territory, we still have yet to learn. So we do not know how many seats each college or university has for international students yet. But overall, we're looking at a reduction in seats. This will likely impact provinces like Ontario, where I live, and British Columbia most. But again, stay tuned to learn about how the numbers are allocated to each institution. Now we're very well aware as well that each student will need a PAL, or a provincial attestation letter. So please note that it seems to be official now in Canada that we're using the acronym PAL to stand for provincial attestation letter. So that is the letter that each province will be providing to students that they will require for their study permit application. So right now, provinces and territories have until March 31st, 2024 to figure this out. What is this letter going to look like? How will you be receiving the letter, and the process there? So we still have a lot of information to learn there, but we'll continue to keep you updated. I know that many of you are waiting patiently in line, hoping that we can get these PAL letters in your hands as soon as possible. And believe me, we all hope so as well. We've learned that the cap will not count towards master's and PhD programs, as well as primary and secondary school. I know that there's a lot of questions about master's degrees. That's the hot topic right now. And certainly that's something that, maybe we can take a little bit of time at the end today or in a future session to look at master's degrees. Just knowing that seats in master's degree programs are quite small. It's very competitive, and it can be expensive, but there's still opportunity. So we'll save that. Also, as of January 22nd, we learned that the postgrad work permit will no longer be available for students who will be studying in PPP programs, or public-private partnerships. Originally, the government had put the date of September 1st. So anybody entering a PPP program after September 1st would not be eligible for a postgrad work permit. But now kind of the wording has changed for the government, where it just says any new student. So students who might be entering a PPP program in in May or in August, this new policy of not receiving a PGWP might also apply to you. Lastly, there's been some clarification around the open spousal work permit, and the fact that only students who are studying master's, PhD, or in professional programming will be granted the opportunity for an open spousal work permit. So we'll continue to learn more about that. But for now, those are really the updates, which is not much, I know. We're also starting to learn, just in reference to master's degrees, that any master's degree that is less than 2 years should still be eligible for a 3-year postgrad work permit. So even more reason to have future discussion around master's degrees. That's the update for now. Is there anything that I'm missing or I can provide further clarification on?
No. About the affordability living in Canada, and what about the job opportunities?
Sure.
Students are seeking for part-time jobs. So, what are the demanded job over there?
Yeah, good question. And
Yeah.
so I think if you're interested in learning more about affordability in Canada, know that you can visit the last session that we did, which would have been, what was it, February 6th, February
Five
5th,
jobs.
the 5th? Okay.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I believe that You can certainly rewatch that video where we talk a little bit about affordability, where we talk about accommodation, and the different things to consider when you're looking at the cost of living. And also, importantly, how when you first arrive in Canada, you'll be paying things like first and last month's rent. And so to know that the upfront cost can be quite a bit different than it would be continuously month to month. So affordability is certainly a popular subject right now. I was just reading an article in the news prior to this live stream about many students returning back to their home country because they're surprised about the cost of living. I think the most important thing with affordability is to be realistic. Canada is more expensive. It's more expensive for me. It's more expensive for everybody. And so, if your neighbor or your family friend or somebody that you know moved to Canada 3, 4 years ago, their cost of living then was totally different than it is now. And I encourage you to speak with AECC, who can work with affordability calculators to look at all of the different costs that you might have per month, and help guide you in terms of a location that might best fit your budget. Canada's a huge country. There's a lot of options. And so, as we know, Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver can be quite expensive. But there's a lot of great, wonderful institutions that are outside of those major cities where your cost of living is quite a bit less. And so I think it's really important to learn about those options. And again, AECC is really well versed in all of this. So certainly come in and talk and be realistic about your budget. When it comes to part-time jobs while you're working, I know that this is always a big question. As you're aware, Canada has now reinstated the cap for a maximum of 20 hours of work a week for students. This can be on or off campus. We can also help you discover what the minimum wage is for the province that you're looking at living in. And generally, if you're working at the movie theater or a Starbucks or coffee shop, something like that, or you're working on campus, you'll be looking at making minimum wage. Again, I think it's important to be realistic. You can work a part-time job that will help contribute to your cost of living, but it definitely won't cover your entire cost of living. So certainly, if you have any questions about affordability, please feel free to put them in the chat. I'll save some of these questions because they're quite specific for maybe after I talk a little bit about careers and where there are jobs, because I can see some questions about geology,
Yes.
and I can see some questions about airlines.
Yes.
Both good questions that I don't necessarily have a great answer to because it's quite specific and I don't know much about geology. If I were to answer that question, I'm going to assume that you have a background in terms of education in geology. I'm going to assume that you have some work experience because it's quite a specific field. And so if you're looking to come and study that area, certainly it's a subject that you can find at many different institutions across Canada at the graduate level or the undergraduate level. The job opportunities, that's something that I either encourage you to speak about with AECC and they can look up more information, or do some research yourself, again, because it's quite specific. So anything in terms of, like I assume there's a lot of great jobs for geology in Canada. What specifically they are, I don't know. But I think that there's opportunity for sure. Sorry, that's not a great answer.
Sujita, hi Sujita. If you are in Kathmandu Valley, you can definitely visit us, and we will provide you about the colleges, university for the geology, and about the job opportunities. We'll make it clear. Uh, So moving forward to the next question, let
Sure.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I feel bad about the geology question. I just need time to prepare. I don't know. Sorry.
No, no problem. No problem. So we have a question from Ritu Raj Chaudhary. Any subject is available for master in airlines? We already talked about it. Did we?
Yeah, so a master's degree for airlines, not that I'm aware of. Um, I mean, the closest thing would be to study business. Um, in terms of looking at if you were to work for an airline, in the business sense, you could certainly look at working in human resources for an airline, accounting, marketing, all of those different facets that you would find in an MBA program. If you wanted to do something specific to accounting and receive your CPA or your chartered professional accountant certificate here in Canada, you could go and work at an airline or just about anywhere. But there's nothing that's niche just for airlines for a master's degree that I'm aware of. Typically, if you would like to be a pilot, you need to go to flight school. If you would like to, be an airline attendant, you'd need to go to school for that as well. But probably at a master's level, an MBA might be your best fit.
Okay, thank you for your query, Mr. Rituraj. Hope you are clear. So moving forward, we got a comment from Cyrus Bogoti. What is the average salary in Canada?
Yeah, good question. So the average salary in Canada sits around or just under about 60,000 Canadian dollars a year. So 60,000 Canadian, which is a decent starting salary. Certainly, if you're looking, depending on the area of your career, you can grow that salary. But looking for full time work, on average, you're looking at about 60,000, if not a little bit more. Depending on where you live, obviously the cost of living impacts that, and so your salary will go up. But just remember that it costs more. That's why you're getting paid more. But generally, you want to be looking at around $60,000 to start.
Thank you for the question. Hope you are clear. Moving forward, we have a question. What is the minimum cost of tuition fees?
Um, it depends on the program, right? So generally, a short-term program will cost less. If you're looking at a certificate program, which might be 1 year, you can be looking at 12 to 15,000 Canadian dollars. Just bear in mind that a certificate program, you now will not be eligible for a postgrad work permit necessarily. So the shorter the program, the less expensive it is. But I think when you're thinking about education and the type of program you want to take, number one thing to think about is what's the outcome that you want. Education's an investment, right? And so you want to find a program that's right for you, that's going to develop the skills that you need in order to obtain the career that you're looking for. Sometimes there's an investment there that you pay off later on. But maybe minimum cost would be 12, 15,000 Canadian. Some MBA programs, you're looking at 65, 70,000 Canadian dollars. So there's a huge range available. What I would encourage you to do is understand your budget, understand your minimum and your maximum, and go talk to AECC. Go talk to a counselor who can help you find the right fit. And again, it's cost of living is going to count a lot there. So there's a lot of opportunity, but the more information you can give us, the better to be able to find a good fit.
Yes, yes, thank you. Hope your query is clear. And if you are in Kathmandu, you can visit us. We can provide you the number of colleges or university with the affordable tuition fees, what you are looking for. So thank you for the question. Moving forward, we have got question from Imran Alam, but the question is, what's about MBA? Can you please just elaborate what are you talking about the university or tuition fees? Please do comment.
Sure. Great question. General question. So I'll provide some pretty general answers. Plenty of MBA choices across universities in Canada. Um, you're looking probably on average above 50,000 Canadian dollars for your tuition. Again, when I speak about an investment, an MBA is a great example, where students have to pay more for their tuition, knowing that their job opportunities will lead to higher paying jobs once they graduate. And so you're able to kind of pay back that tuition a little bit faster. With MBA programs in Canada, they can vary. Some of them will be quite professional, and targeted towards working professionals looking to upskill. Some of them will be targeted towards undergraduate people who have just received their undergraduate degree. Some of them will be general, some of them will be specific in terms of nature and the disciplines. Um, Most of them will be about 2 years in length, 16 months to 2 years. Generally, with an MBA, you'll have to look at what specialization you're interested in. So, again, is it marketing, HR, finance, accounting, analytics, operations? Sometimes there's some project management in there. So, there's many different specializations. Um, Another thing to consider with an MBA is, does it offer a co op opportunity? I think something really important if you're looking at more of a professional master's degree in Canada is to make sure that you're gaining work experience while you're in the program. So if there's a co op opportunity that's embedded in the program, that means that you're gaining Canadian work experience while you're studying. A lot of the time, MBA programs, you'll study for a term, you'll do co op, study, or have a co op at the end, depending on the specialization that you're in. Each of those terms that you're studying co-op alongside, your coursework that you just completed, you're making money. Co-op is paid, and you're gaining that Canadian work experience that you can use on your resume. So certainly, if the goal is to, again, study in a professional program to stay and live and work successfully in Canada, definitely consider co-op programming. That's at the undergraduate level as well. Look to find programs that offer co-op. If there aren't co-op options, look for internships, look for experiential education, any sort of program that is going to have you working with local community, local businesses, working on projects together. That's going to give you that work experience that you can put on your resume. It's so important, and it's a big missing piece for a lot of students who are looking for shorter programs. If you're looking for short programs, work opportunity is generally not integrated into the studies. I highly encourage you to look at programs that do involve some sort of element of paid work experience while you study.
That's great. Thank you, Imran, for your question. Let's move forward. We have a question from Azad. How many days classes in a week?
Yeah, great question. It's up to you. So the way that college and university here generally works is you build your own schedule. Some programs will have designated days, because you might need to use lab space. You might be needing to use facilities that would be scheduled in if you're in a trades program, for example. Um, Generally at university, you create your own schedule because you choose and you enroll in the classes that you want to take. Um, Most of the time, students are studying, 3-4 days a week. People try to maybe have an extra long weekend, give yourself a break midweek. But each class is generally going to be 3 hours long, or two 1.5 hour classes. And it's up to you to set the schedule. So, dependent on the program, it might be set for you. And, for other programs, again, you choose. So, certainly, there's a lot of videos that are available, webinars, kind of tutorials for students who are enrolling into classes for the first time on how to build a timetable. The other thing to say about classes is here they can start at 8 in the morning and they can run all the way until 10 o'clock at night. So you don't want to just pack one full day full of classes. You'll be exhausted, especially when it comes to different projects and presentations. And so, the days you have to figure out, are you more productive in the morning? Are you better at studying at night? Generally in your first and second year, if you're attending university, there's a lot of choice. So really, it's up to you. You make the schedule.
Great. Thank you for your question. Uh, we have question from Anjana Bura. Is it a good time to apply for a visa or apply after the fixed decision from the Canadian government?
Good question. It is not a good time to apply for a visa right now. Again, unless you're looking at master's or PhD or professional programming, you will need the PAL, or the provincial attestation letter. You cannot apply for a study permit or receive a study permit without this letter. If you're looking at studying a master's degree, okay, go and apply for the study permit. Certainly talk to AECC in person, ideally, or virtual chat, about making sure that you have everything ready. But for any other program other than a master's or PhD, do not proceed with applying for a study permit. I think it just gets returned to you. I'm not even sure that like the system is accepting them. So even if you try to submit, you probably won't be able to.
Great. I hope, Anjana, you're clear now. We have a question from Krishna Chapagai. And the question is, I would like to know about the upper age limits for students for an MBA.
That's a good question. I don't think there is a limit. Um, I'm going to say there is no age limit that I'm aware of. And so I've worked alongside MBA programs for many years at different universities, and there were students of all ages. Just know that if you're a little bit older, you will be in class with people who are in their early to mid 20s. But there's no harm if you're older. There's no limit there. The only thing is, the farther you're out of school. So if you had graduated from your undergraduate degree 10 years ago, the school will want to look at your resume, and they'll want to make sure that you've been busy, more or less, you've been working. And so any time that's outside of school generally needs to be accounted for on your resume. But that would be if you're 25 or you're 45. So no age limit, I would say.
That's great. No age limit. So hurry up and come to AECC. We have question from Harindra Gupta. Visa chances to apply master in Canada in university. So he's talking about the visa
Yeah.
success rate in university.
I think that's probably a better question for my teammates that are sitting in Nepal. Certainly, traditionally, visa success rates are higher for master's degrees, but we haven't had the volume. that we're even looking at now. The interest hasn't been there. There hasn't been as much demand, specifically out of Nepal, for master's degrees. So I know that AECC in Nepal has an extremely high visa approval rate. And so they're certainly going to be able to give you all the details on success rates for a master's. The one thing that I would say to consider is when you're looking at a master's degree, um, make sure that it's different from any kind of qualification that you already have. If you have an MBA from Nepal, don't apply for an MBA in Canada. Or if you have an MBA from Nepal, apply to a specific, finance specialization or something that's different from what you already hold. Sometimes we see students looking for the same degree. I think probably because they assume it's going to be easier. But that also weakens your chances for a study permit. So that's just something to consider when you're looking at masters.
Thank you, Arindra, for your question. Hope you are clear. Next question is from Azad. PT requirements in Canada.
PTE requirements in Canada, I believe, are between 50 and 60. It's going to depend on the program. It's going to depend on the school. AECC can help you look at each individual institution you would be interested in and look to see what the PTE score is. It's also readily available on the institution websites. If it's, master's degree, it's going to be on the higher end. Whereas compared to an undergraduate degree, it might be a little bit on the lower end. But I believe it's between 50 and 60.
It's correct. It's between 50 and 60. You
Oh,
need
I
to
got it
score
right.
high. Yeah.
Okay.
You need to score high. Just focus on PTE. And thank you for the question. Next question is from Imran Alam, who asks about MBA. Previous comment. Actually, I want to see MBA in hospital management and what is the minimum fees?
I don't know. That's a pretty specific question. I'm sorry. I know lots of things, but I don't know details of each individual school. So an MBA in hospitality management, I'm sure, is available. That's definitely a question for AECC team and to give them a little bit of time to find the best fit. I don't
May I?
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
please, absolutely.
Yes, yes. As the question is MBA in hospital management. In MBA, few university provides specialization like human resource or healthcare management or hospital management. So, and the minimum fees range start from 20,000 for master's degree. Thank you for the question.
You could look at, sorry to interrupt. The
Yeah,
other
that's fine.
thing too is like there's plenty of master's programs in public health. There's programs in masters of management. Um, Again, that's quite specific. Um, Whereas I think more you'd just be looking at management. Um, and if you wanted to look specifically in like health sciences, um, there's definitely schools that combine like public health and MBA together. That might be something that's interesting for you. But yeah, certainly talk more to AECC about it, and then I can also continue to do some research.
Yes, please, Imran, do visit us. We are located at Charkhal, Delhi Bazaar. So, do visit us. We can provide you the number of university you are looking for. So, hope to see you soon. The next question is from Azad, and the question is after complete my study, how many years I can work?
That's I don't know. I don't know. That's the question. That's the question. And so right now, as we're trying to figure out postgrad work permits, so generally the length of your postgrad work permit is tied to the length of your program, or how long you studied for. So if you're looking at a 2-year program, previously you received a 3-year PGWP. Will that remain the same? I think so. But again, it's still unclear. So, I think it's about remembering anything shorter than 2 years. A postgrad work permit isn't necessarily guaranteed. And that's going to dictate how many years you can work after. Um, I hope you work your whole long life after you study, but in terms of the PGWP, that's still unclear at the moment.
Great. We still have a lot to hear of the changes in policy about the Canada. Let's wait. And moving forward,
I
is
don't know
Canada
I don't know the answer to that question. It's I don't know. I don't Is Canada easy for PR? I don't know. I don't know. Sorry. It's such a subjective question. Each individual application is evaluated. And so it might be easy for some people, but it's extremely difficult for others. And so I think you really need to look at your own individual case, and, you know, look to see what a successful application for PR looks like. You can certainly set yourself up, by looking at degree programs, what the point system is that might get you further ahead, living in certain areas that might grant you quicker access to PR or the PMP program, but it's so subjective, it's hard to say.
Thank you for the question. Moving forward, we have a question from Suman Pahari. And the question is there any risk by new rules to the student who lost their visa in Jan 2022?
I'm gonna assume the question is there any risk for students who submitted before January 2022? Is that correct?
No, no, no.
Um,
In Jan 22nd.
oh, like on January
On,
22nd?
yes, on, yes.
Oh, all of the updates say for students who submitted their visa prior to, that date, you should be fine. I believe I saw an announcement that said, if you had submitted by 8:30 a.m. on January 22nd. Um, International students whose applications were received by IRCC before 8:30 a.m. on January 22nd, do not need to take further action. So, if you submitted after 8:30 a.m. on January 22nd, you might have your application coming back to you. Now, something to bear in mind is 8:30 January 22nd in Nepal is not 8:30 January 22nd in Canada. Um, I'm not sure. I don't know. If you haven't heard anything back, that's probably a good sign. I think they would have returned the application.
Thank you for the question. Now we just have to wait for the visa decision. The next question is from Rituraj Chaudhary. We can go independent or not? If yes, then dependent person can work and study or not?
So I think this is in, thank you for the question. I think this is in relation to open spousal work permit. Um, I mean, you can apply to go as a dependent and not work or study. That's an option. But you will not be able to work or study on the visa that they'll give you because it won't be an open spousal work permit. So it will restrict you from working or studying. So you'll just be able to go as a dependent. And, you know, that's very limited in terms of what you can do when you're in Canada.
Thank you for the question. Next question is again from Suman Pahari. Is Esanda School of Management eligible for PGWP according to the new rules?
I think so. Because I mean, it depends on the program that you're taking. But if you're looking at bachelor's programs, a bachelor program is PGWP eligible. Ascenda School of Management is private, but that doesn't mean that it, you know, there's any restrictions on postgrad work permits, especially because it's offering bachelor's degrees. So I think you should be okay.
Thank you for the question, Suman. Next question is from Gokul Paudel. Need general admission requirement for Nepalese students to apply for masters. Educational qualification in percentage, PT or IELTS.
Good question. It's too general. Like there are hundreds of master's degrees available with varying admission requirements across Canada. So it's hard for me to just generalize what that is. Certainly, most schools are going to be looking at your undergraduate degree. So, what is your undergraduate degree in? What is the discipline? How long is the degree? And what is your overall percentage? Again, master's programs can be competitive in Canada. You'd probably be looking at B plus, A minus as the lowest grade overall. And certainly the team at AECC can help you translate that. Generally, you're looking at an IELTS no lower than 6.5, probably, and no band less than 6. But probably more likely you'll be looking at a 7 to make yourself more competitive for an IELTS. So again, it varies from program to program. But I think that speaking to AECC about your previous studies is going to be really important for them to be able to evaluate your transcript and look at eligibility.
Yeah, great. We are always here to help you, so do please do visit us. And the same question, and the next question is from Gokul. What about the scholarships for master's level?
Um, Good question again. So I'm going to explain this in two parts. So in Canada, usually for a master's degree, there's what we call course-based masters. And this is going to be an MBA or accounting or public health, like I referred to earlier at some schools. So these are master's degrees that are only course-based. So you take courses and you write exams. You also have research master's degrees or research based. These are programs that you take some courses, but you also dedicate basically the second year of your program to researching, writing, and defending a thesis. So there's much more research involved. Scholarships for course based programs like an MBA are few and far between. generally because you're going to go and you're going to go get a great job and make a great salary. And so you're able to pay some of the money back. Um, Research based masters, there's a lot of scholarship money available. But research based masters are much more competitive to get into. Like very few seats. You have to know a specific research topic that you're looking to study. Generally, you might have to have a GMAT. You might have to have some sort of publication. And so I think looking at the difference between course based versus research based is important in knowing what you want, and then also the different types of tuition fees that are associated.
Yeah. Thank you for the question. Hope you are clear. Let's go forward. And the question is from Deepak Jha. He has written as completed BSc Agriculture, GPA 8.4 out of 10, pass out year 2023, and IELTS score overall 5.5. Can I eligible for Master in Agriculture?
Um, Again, this is like a pretty specific question that my colleagues in the Nepal offices could help with.
Yeah.
I do not believe you will be able to meet the admission requirements for a master's degree with a 5.5.
Yes.
I think that you'll need to improve your score, um, your language score, IELTS score, and then
Yes.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
The question before that, you need a master's degree before you get a PhD. So you cannot
Sorry, I
apply.
missed the question.
No, that's okay. You can't apply for a PhD without a master's degree. And applying for a PhD is a whole other a whole other thing that's very challenging.
So, Deepak, you are not directly eligible for master's degree with 5.5 score. You need to score overall 6.5 or 7 with each band 6. And the next question is from
Yeah.
Vivas, Hakuri Vivas. What about PGWP of students who achieved their study permit but got deferred to September 2024 intake?
Um I'm not sure what the question is. Like what about like
Work permit of students who achieved their study permit, they already have visa but got deferred to September 2024.
okay. Um so sorry, I just don't really know. What about it? I don't know. So the I think maybe the question is like, um, what are the next steps? So certainly the institution that you've applied to, if the institution is is a public part, is a
Yes, yes. If the,
PPP. Okay, thank you for your clarification. Sorry,
uh,
I'm stumbling a little bit. Um, First and foremost, the institution should be communicating with you. If you have your enrollment letter and you have your study permit, they should be emailing you quite frequently with updates. Um, if you've been deferred to September, I think ultimately you have to decide if you want to go. That's it. And so at this point, it looks like you will not be eligible for PGWP through a public private partnership. Um, so I think that's something to consider. If you're, really hoping for a PGWP, you might need to rethink where you want to go. I know that some institutions are like, if you have an approved study permit in hand, there are institutions that have open seats that would process your application in a day. And so if you're thinking about looking at another public institution or another private institution and you have your study permit approval, certainly talk to AECC about where there's open seats for May or September intake. And certainly there's institutions that would be happy to process your application quickly. They're prioritizing students that have study permits in hand. Can we apply direct? Oh, sorry, that's like a different. So I hope that answered the one question.
Gokul, we have make it clear that you need to do master's degree for PhD to apply for PhD.
Yeah, there's no way you can get into a PhD without a master's degree.
Master's degree. Yeah.
Even with a master's degree, it's very hard to get into a PhD.
Hope you are clear, Gokul. And again, the question is from Gokul. Let us know more about public colleges available, which we are still confused in identifying public and PPP college. You surely can visit us.
Yeah, definitely talk to AECC. If you're confused about which schools are PPPs, I've provided AECC lists of the PPP schools. A lot of the time, you have to understand which campus it is that you're applying to. And so, for many colleges in Canada that are not located in Toronto, the PPP school is located in Toronto. And so it's looking at what campus you're applying to. There are lists of PPPs that are available, online, but then also you can speak to AECC about it. Ultimately, at the end of the day, AECC, we're lucky because we have a lot of direct partnerships with the public partner. And so if you are looking at Niagara College, for example, Niagara College, we have a direct agreement with. They have amazing programs and they're beautiful campuses in Niagara-on-the-Lake and Welland, but they also have a PPP in Toronto. And so, it's just better understanding which Niagara College program and campus you want to be at. And obviously, AECC is well versed and can help with that. So I think it's certainly worth going through the list and then looking to see what programs are available that you're interested in and the campuses that they're offered on.
Yes. Yes, you can visit us. We can provide you the list of colleges which are public or private or PPP. Also, there are few courses left for May intake in few colleges. So please do visit us. And thank you for your question. Hope your all of the queries are clear. And the next question is from Thakuri Bivas. Can I change my college from PPP to public college after studying one semester?
Um, like in theory, yes, you can. However, note that movement between institutions will become more restricted. That's part of the reason why the federal government has made some policy changes, is because there were too many students taking advantage of going to a school to then just change the school right after. And so this provincial attestation letter should restrict mobility for students in between different provinces, perhaps. Seeing as you already have your study permit, I know that it's a bit of a different case. The other thing to consider is that the schools will have caps. And so they're not sure what the number of students is that they are able to enroll in future intakes. So, for example, if you're going to Ontario, and you enter a PPP and you do one semester at a PPP and you look to attend a college in Ontario, their numbers might be quite small. So the number of open seats that they have will be fewer. Um, if you're considering moving from a PPP to a public college because you're wanting the post-grad work permit, I would think about doing it now. Um, I would do it now rather than once you arrive. You don't want to waste time. You don't want to waste money. You don't want to have to relocate necessarily. And so, again, there's many institutions that have open seats right now for students with study permits. And so I think it would be wise to think about what the goal is, and capitalize or take advantage of the fact that you have a study permit in hand.
Thank you for the question, Thakuri viewers. Hope you are clear. So we have no more questions left.
Okay, good. That means I can go to bed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much,
everybody.
Victoria,
Yeah, of
for this
course.
amazing live session. You have been making time for us. We all know it's what AM is there? What's the time there?
It is 1:53 a.m.
We are so grateful to have you. Thank you so much,
No
Victoria.
problem. Thank you so much for everybody attending. Thank you again for hosting. I love being here. We'll be back, I believe, February 20th,
Yes.
with some institutions as well. So make sure that you continue to tune in, and continue to talk to AECC and visit AECC with any questions. Things are moving quickly here. I hope this helped, and we hope to continue to provide you with support in the future as well. Thank you.
Yes.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye bye. Good night.
Goodbye. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye. So, guys, if you have any question, you can visit us. We are located at Charkhal Delhi Bazaar. We are just a call away. If you are out of Valley, you can call us and you can book the appointment for phone counseling. Hope your all queries are clear and see you next time. Have a great day.